You guys, this is insane. If this is true, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if it was. He says, this is serious and breaking based on local reports. The Israeli regime places 3 booby-trapped robots around the Kamal Adwan hospital. That is insane. If that's true, that's insane. And you know why it should also scare you, by the way? Obviously, it's horrific and brutal the way that they treat the Palestinians. It should also scare you because they oftentimes test their AI and their weapons on the Palestinians before they bring that shit home, before they bring that shit back to the United States and bring that shit to countries all over the world. They treat the Palestinians as though, you know, as a testing ground. Blakeley at 2 times speed is big. You know, theater, I don't mind because I watch mostly everything on 1.5 or 2 times speed. 2 times speed is sometimes a little fast for me, but I watch everything at least 1.5 speed. Yeah, this is terrifying, you guys. They're going to bring the, okay, it's kind of like, you guys saw, I know it's like a very, very small example of it, but it's about how, you guys know how they're building cop cities all over the country right now? They're doing that so when they bring insane authoritarian shit over here, nobody can fight back. That's what they're doing. The left is, thank you for the super chat, Mark. The left is losing because they told us Biden is sharp. Well, that's definitely part of it. That's definitely, they lost for a lot of reasons, but that was definitely one of them. Yep. They also were suppressing real document news. Exactly. So my point is that like this type of authoritarian shit, this dystopian nightmare shit, always comes back home. Always does in some form or fashion, usually to the most marginalized people. How the IOF trains U.S. police. Exactly. The IOF trains the U.S. police, and then they come over and they test that shit on Americans, always marginalized Americans. But don't think that just because you don't have a marginalized identity that they're not coming for you too, because they just did some authoritarian shit to some white lady in Florida, okay? So hold your, hold the phone if you're some middle-class white lady that thinks that you're not going to get targeted by the powers that be, because there's a woman in Florida who got targeted by the powers that be and charged with domestic terrorism for talking shit to a healthcare company and making an alleged threat to them. Really? Where are you guys to protect me? I get threats all the time. People who are online get threats all the time. We get death threats all the time. We get rape threats all the time. Where are you guys at? You guys aren't anywhere to be found. But this random mom of 3 kids in Florida has a moment of rage where she allegedly threatens this healthcare company, and her ass is in jail within 5 seconds, and they've charged her with terrorism, and she could get 20 years in jail. So again, they always come for the most marginalized first, but don't think they're not coming for you too. Don't think they're not coming for the rest of America's rights. And it starts in Palestine. They start in Palestine by doing shit like booby-trapped robots in hospitals. And then they eventually bring that shit here. They're literally trying to erode all of Americans' rights right now and do a new security state crackdown, okay? I made a video about this today, but I feel like I must have, I didn't even get the kind of comments on the video that I thought I would of people being more concerned. So I take responsibility from that of being like, I must have not done a very good job on the video explaining it, because the crackdown that is happening on Americans now because of their fear that people are actually standing up to corporate America, and fear that people are speaking out against corporate America and the CEOs and the elites in this country and the oligarchy combined, with the people speaking out against Gaza. Think about the crackdown that they have done over the last couple of years. They have cracked down on free speech, passed laws attacking free speech, attacking the First Amendment, passing, insane, draconian definitions of anti-Semitism, passing laws stripping nonprofits of their nonprofit status so that they can declare them terrorist organizations. Like, everybody needs to understand that this is all connected. And the way they are reacting to what happened to the healthcare CEO, the way they're lashing out and doing things like arresting this woman in Florida, this is all connected, you guys. This is an authoritarian crackdown by our state. By our state. So maybe I should show a different video that I saw of it today, since, like I said, apparently I did not do a very good job of trying to explain it, because if I had, I think I would have gotten a different set of comments on my videos. But there was a video. No. Where are my saves? No. For some reason, the TikTok Chrome extension doesn't work. Does anyone know why that is? Like, why it is that the Chrome extension for TikTok doesn't really work? Bruh. Like, I can't even click on this video, bruh. Oh my gosh, this is so dumb. Like, every time I try to use TikTok on Chrome, it will just, like, automatically refresh it. And
there's something that most people are missing when it comes to this story. And there's something that most people are missing when it comes to this story.
All right, let me try to open it in a separate window.
An orchestrated media spectacle to basically usher in a new era of mass surveillance. Think Patriot Act 2.0. For those who don't know.
Okay, wait, hold on. Do you use OBS or Streamlabs? I use Streamlabs because it's way too OBS is too hard. It's too hard. There's too many things. I like Streamlabs as far as I like it because it is very user-friendly for those of us who are not tech savvy. OBS was totally overwhelming. OBS reminded me of Twitch. Very overwhelming, very not user-friendly. You had to like add a stage, but then like you couldn't add certain things. You had to like create a background, but then like, yeah, it was too many things. It was too many things. Okay. Okay, so I want to play this video of this guy explaining what's happening because, like I said, I think he does a much better job explaining it than my attempt to. So let's watch his shout out to Eric, or I'm sorry, not Eric, James Lee.
I don't know the story.
And this is 100% what's happening. He is correct.
Something that most people are missing when it comes to this story, and it's that this is an orchestrated media spectacle to basically usher in a new era of mass surveillance. Think Patriot Act 2.0. For those who don't know the story, a woman in Florida was charged by police on Tuesday after ending a call with an insurance company by saying delay, deny, depose, the three words that are reminiscent of the writings found in the shell casings retrieved at United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson's murder scene in New York last week. This woman was charged with threats to conduct a mass shooting or an act of terrorism, according to the affidavit. A judge set her bond at $100,000, describing it as, quote, appropriate considering the status of our country at this point, even though this lady doesn't even own a firearm. And they're saying if convicted, this woman is facing up to 15 years in prison for speech. This is bonkers. And for those of you who are saying that she FAFO'd, that she deserves all this, and people have a right to free speech, but not a right to be free of consequences, I get it. Guys, there is a much more.
Okay, but I hope no one is saying that because, again, to take that position is to be a bootlicker of the powers that be and doing their dirty work for them. Because if you think that they won't turn around and do the exact same things to you, you're naive as fuck. They always will.
Sinister plan in the works that you should know about. It is now being reported that Kathy Hochul, New York's governor, is holding a therapy session with 175 corporate representatives and CEOs to calm the nerves of the NYC business elite in the wake of Brian Thompson's killing, promising state assistance for corporate security to combat domestic terrorism. Here's what they're trying to accomplish, allegedly.
There is a full court press going on in the news media and on the part of government to frame the killing of the former United Healthcare CEO as domestic terrorism. On Wednesday, the New York Police Department's head of intelligence, she made a statement essentially saying as much. And it's alarming because the national security state has a suite of tools, a whole apparatus to be able to drop the hammer on something when you're able to say that it's terrorism that they don't have if you're not able to designate something that.
This is huge and profoundly disturbing because guess what? Today, this event right here, a protest against Kellogg's, would be civil disobedience. Tomorrow, maybe it's terrorism. Exactly. And if the protest is too peaceful, maybe we do something like this. How about that, huh? I would suggest people give this Wikipedia entry a read. So make no mistake, yes, they are definitely making an example out of this woman, basically saying, don't test us. We're going to lay the hammer down on you. But the grander plan, and I'm not trying to be hyperbolic here, but the master plan here is to make it basically illegal to criticize corporations. Exactly. You can do whatever you want, but you can't be messing up the profit margins.
Facts. Exactly. Exactly. And that is what's happening. That is what's happening. They did put it back up, but they did put it back up, thankfully, but GoFundMe had taken down her fundraiser, which is insane. Like you're doing the work of the state, which is fascism. So I'm glad they put it back up at least, but you are doing the work of the state, and it is actually fascist to do things like take down her GoFundMe page where she's trying to have a legal defense when, number one, last time I checked, you're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty in this fucking country, okay? Supposed to be, allegedly. You're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. So the fact that GoFundMe immediately buckled and took down her GoFundMe when she has not been convicted of shit is disgusting. Pathetic GoFundMe. We need a new GoFundMe, okay? We need a new GoFundMe. I know, that's such a good point, Flying Over Trout. That is such a good point. GoFundMe in the US is largely used to fundraise for people who don't have health care and get sick. So it would make sense that they have a business incentive to, not want to help anybody calling that out. But also, the idea that you're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty and then they take it down. But as that guy said, as James Lee said in that video, which is absolutely true, they are using the word domestic terrorism and terrorism as a way to crack down on dissent. And if you think that it's not coming for more, then I mean, you're wrong. It's they will always, the security state in the United States and the fascism is going to expand because of the fact that this is what happens when people start really speaking out. That's what they did and are doing to people who are protesting the genocide in Gaza, right? And this is what I mean, how I say it's all connected. How the lawmakers passed a law saying that they can designate nonprofits as terrorist organizations, as organizations aiding terror. Basically, in the US, if you slap the word terrorism on something, you can do whatever you want to them, as draconian as you want to them. So if they throw the label terrorist on a nonprofit organization like the ACLU, then they can drive them out of business. They can throw the label terrorist on Planned Parenthood and shut them down. They can throw the word terrorist on a pro-Palestinian protester who's exercising their First Amendment rights and get that person locked up for decades. They can throw the label terrorist on this woman who allegedly made a threat to the insurance company on the phone, and now she's facing 20 years in prison. This is insane. What is that saying? Fascism is colonialism turned inward. That's what this is. The fascism that is happening in the United States is basically what the United States has done to other countries all around the world. They're turning it inward. They're turning it inward, and they're accelerating it because the more scared they get, the more brutal they get. This always happens with fascism. You know, this always happens with fascism. The more afraid the powers that be get, whether that be about what's happening in Gaza and people finding out the truth about the Israeli regime, or about people starting to actually get class consciousness about the way that we're fucked over by the healthcare companies and get class consciousness about the way we're fucked over by the oligarchs and the corporatocracy, the more the state is going to crack down, is going to get more fascist. The more fascist they're going to become, the more brutal they're going to become, the more they're going to crack down. Okay? That is what always happens. They're going to get more authoritarian. And why do they get that way when it comes to the healthcare industry? Because government has been captured by corporations. Government and corporations are like this. The government are the corporations now are the government. There is little to no distinction now between the government and the corporations. So the reason why you're seeing this colonialism turned inward being fascism is because our government was because our government a while ago was hijacked by corporations. So yes, you are going to see the continued colonialism turn inward fascism in the United States. You're going to continue to see that crackdown because when you see what happens to governments that get hijacked by corporations and corporate interests and the interests of the 1%, and you see that merge, the collision of government and corporatocracy, you get fascism. This is what you get. You get fascism. So this is what's happening. That is the only reason why they did that to her. And again, if you think you're immune from this or it's not coming for you or what you believe, consider how rare it is for a white mother in the United States of America to be charged with a crime like this. That usually doesn't happen to white women, not white moms, certainly not. But you know why it's happening? Because again, they're seeing the class consciousness and reaction coming out of what happened, and they're trying to shut that shit down now. They're trying to shut that shit down now and be like, if you fucking speak out, if you even think about challenging the corporatocracy, you're going to go to prison like this woman. Yeah, they don't need to have a reason. They can just make it up. They'll just call it terrorism. It's the same shit they do with calling everything Hamas. Everything is Hamas. Oh, well, you're Hamas, so it's Hamas. It's the same principle. They want to crack down on regular people gaining class consciousness and fighting back against the corporatocracy and the 1%. And they want to be able to do so in a way where they can really oppress the regular people from standing up against this corporatocracy and this oligarchy. And you can't do that technically to an American citizen because we allegedly have freedom and we allegedly have a First Amendment, but they get around that by just saying, oh, it's terrorism. It's terrorism. That's how they get away with it, by just calling it terrorism. And this is what happens when you allow your rights to be eroded. Because this has been happening for a while. Our rights have continued to be eroded year after year after year. And the more you allow your rights to be eroded, the more shit like this happens, to the point where you have no defense anymore. There is no defense eventually against the tyranny of our government / corporate ruling class. There's no defense against it when they are slowly but surely chipping away at all of our rights. Yeah, calling Hassan a terror, like that was so insane. Yeah, and the reason why Ethan Klein did that was because he knew that it has such a heavy connotation that by doing that to someone, you can try to destroy their lives. Because if Hassan is just a guy that has different beliefs and principles and he's speaking about those beliefs and principles and against the oppression of the Palestinians, well, then that's kind of hard to fight against. But if you call him a, scary Arab terrorist, well, then you can try to get him kicked off Twitch. Maybe arrested. Oh my gosh, Nancy Mace is such a loser. She's such a pathetic loser. I don't think I've ever seen anyone more thirsty for attention. See how this is all like propaganda from corporations? And oops, I didn't. JK, I went to the wrong one. Sorry. See how this is all just like a propaganda on behalf of Elon Musk and the 1% and the Zionists? And what's sad is that Twitter is one of the least censorious apps, when like so many of the other apps are so censorious. Twitter's probably one of the least, and yet it's still rigged. It's rigged on behalf of the rich and corporations, 1%, Trump, and Zionists. Because Elon Musk is a right-winger. He's a Trumper, so he rigs it that way. He's afraid of the Zionist lobby, so he allows them to rig it in their favor. And then, because after the ADL met with him, then all of a sudden he did a 180 and started doing propaganda for them. And then he does, he rigs it also. And then he also does, like rigging on behalf of his own like page. Like he forces everybody to see his tweets the most, and he shows like mostly right-wing tweets. So it's rigged in a way that like helps the right wing get the most visibility, helps him get the most visibility, and just like props up like Zionist talking points and like right-wing corporate elite 1% propaganda. LOL. Columbia professor resigns over course on Zionism. Columbia has resigned in protest over the university's decision to allow Professor Joseph Massad to teach a course on Zionism. Massad previously made statements praising the October 7th Hamas attacks. Did he, though? Did he? Or did you just make that up? Rosenblatt's resignation letter highlighted concerns about the university's academic integrity. Oh my gosh, this is a joke. Stop anti-Semitism. Oh my gosh, they're such clowns. They're such clowns. Oh, I forgot. I can't retweet stop anti-Semitism because those clowns blocked me. See? This is insane. Oh my gosh. Of course, look at all the Zionists crying. There should be allowed to be courses on it. Oh, it wasn't letting me click on it. Whoops. Hey, Corden. Wait, Unique Breakfast Taco said, and here's where you go off the rails. How did I go off the rails? What the fuck are you talking about? Okay, so this is hilarious. Wait, hold on. Where'd it go? Oh, this is hilarious. Columbia First of all, you should absolutely be able to teach a course on Zionism. Absolutely. Zionism is an ideology. It's an ideological movement. It's a political movement that started in the 1800s. Yes, you should. And it is the reason why we are where we are today. One of the reasons why we are where we are today. Of course, you should be able to teach a course on that. There's supposed to be learning environments. You're supposed to be able to hear ideas you don't agree with. Remember how the right wing would always be like, I hate colleges because they don't let right-wingers, like Ann Coulter, say the things they want to say because they don't agree with it. La, 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 la. Leftists on campus. The leftists on campus. The leftists on campus. Really? What now? What now? All these people crying over leftists on campus are now taking the side of the guy who's throwing a tantrum and resigning because they're allowing somebody to teach a course on Zionism. They're allowing a teacher to teach a course on a historic ideological movement. They're allowing him to teach that course as he should be able to. And this snowflake is resigning over it. And all the Zionists are on Twitter crying, taking his side, being like, "Oh my gosh, they're not letting him. They're not letting him throw too big of a tantrum over it. Good for him for resigning because this teacher is Hamas and Colombia is Hamas." Even though Colombia did a brutal crackdown, infamous brutal crackdown on the students protesting for Palestine, on the encampments for the Palestinian protesters, but somehow now Colombia is Hamas, and they're all crying that he's gonna, this guy's gonna teach a course. And how much you want to bet? Barry Weiss, who made her fucking career whining about college campuses being too leftist and not allowing the free flow of ideas. Watch her take the side of the snowflake guy resigning who's against speech. Watch Rave Dubin, who also cried forever, talking about the left don't let people talk about things they don't like. Watch him defend this decision. Watch. Because none of these people actually gave a shit about free speech ever. Yeah, it's just a bunch of Zionists whining. What happened to free speech? What happened to free speech? I thought you guys cared about free speech. What happened to the free flow, the free flow of ideas? What happened to the marketplace of ideas? You afraid of ideas? So embarrassing. Oh my gosh. Oh, the person who I asked, like, why did I go off the rails? He said, saying that Musk. He's saying I went off the rails, I guess, because I called Musk right wing, which he absolutely is. He absolutely is. There's nothing that makes Musk not right wing. He literally voted for Trump, supported Trump, writes deranged conspiracy theories about immigrants constantly that aren't true, is against immigration, is against taxing the rich, of course, because he's an oligarch. Why would he want taxes? Is against unions, which again, right-wing position, right-wing oligarch, is against the minimum wage. What about him? He's against trans folks. What about him is not right-wing? Then you don't know the definition of right-wing. None of that makes him right-wing. No, except it literally does. You don't know the definition of right-wing then. He also met with Satan Yahoo. True. Yeah, that literally does make you right wing. I'm not interested in this whole thing that people try to do where they try to like whitewash the right wing into being something that they're not. No, that's literally what right wingers are. Apologists for Zionists, union busters, anti-worker, anti-minimum wage, anti-LGBTQ+, anti-immigration, like, and literally is a billionaire who hoards the wealth of labor that he extracts from other people. Literally, you can't name a single thing that doesn't make him right-wing. Name me a single thing that makes him not right-wing. Why don't you answer that? Because you guys love this talking point, Taco, Unique Breakfast Taco. You guys love this talking point. He was a Democrat until you guys had to side with MAGA because y'all are insane. Doing the why I left the left routine. Tell me what about him is not right wing. What is it that made him progressive or liberal when he is against everything that liberals and progressives stand for? Like, seriously. This is true. This is true. Being a billionaire and clearly right wing kind of goes hand in hand. You're right. Being a billionaire is inherently right wing because billionaires should not exist. And before you say, what about what's his name? What about George Soros or who's the other liberal billionaire, like Mark Cuban or some shit? They're right wingers too. Like, just because there are some billionaires that don't hate queer people and don't hate immigrants doesn't make them liberal when it comes to any economic system or populist on any economics. No, being a billionaire is inherently right wing. You're just a right winger who's socially liberal, or you're a corporatist who's socially liberal, or you're a plutocrat or a guy, a part of the broligarchy who happens to have some social liberal values or who is socially liberal. But you're still right wing because being a billionaire and a wealth hoarder and a capitalist extremist is inherently right wing. So you're right. No, you're not. You're literally wrong. All right. I want everybody in chat to notice that this person cannot answer the question. I said, name something that makes him liberal. What about him is liberal? What makes him liberal? What makes him on the left or ever did? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And honestly, like liberals now over the last like I don't know half century, pretty much since Reagan is a liberal is basically just a moderate Republican now. Like our politics have moved. They love to talk about how leftists have moved so far to the left, which is such bullshit. No, the right and the country has moved so far to the damn right that Democrats, like Democratic lawmakers and liberals, are just moderate Republicans now. Yeah, I think they're trolling me. I'm not going to be responding anymore. But, you know, don't let people get away with that, you guys. Don't. There are a lot of people that try to do that routine, the whole why I left the left routine. And they do that because this is the last thing I'll say. Classical liberalism was anti-war, anti-government, and for the workers, none of which they are today. The left are the only ones for the workers. Hate to break it to you. And I don't know if you're just trolling, but this is obvious bullshit. The only people that are for workers are the left. That's it. The left are the only people for workers. Number one. Number two, the left are the ones who are anti-war. Okay? They're the ones who are anti-war. And number three, the left are still the only ones who want to hold government accountable. Elon Musk wants to go into the government so that he can loot the treasury even further and cut taxes and regulation for himself, his business friends, and for the other elites and oligarchs in the country and around the world that, you know, are billionaires and other plutocrats and businesses and corporations. So that's not small government. That's not anti-government when you literally want to be a part of the government. Also, anybody who calls You can tell someone's a right-winger by their language. Okay, I know I said it was the last one, but this will be the last one. This person, Uni Taco, said, you're not, you offer nothing but handouts. Listen to the language they use. That's how I can now tell that this guy's a right-winger. Because if you're calling handouts programs that people who pay into them, like unemployment insurance, we pay into Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, we pay into all those things. And he calls those handouts, but he doesn't call billionaires the welfare queens that they are. It is the billionaire class that are welfare bums that suck money out of the working class and funnel it up to themselves. Those are the welfare bums. Those are the ones with handouts. Those are the ones with handouts. How much money has Elon Musk gotten in subsidies, which is a fancier word for welfare, from the government? So that's how you can tell somebody is right-wing. Elon Musk's companies have received billions of dollars in government support, including Tesla, SpaceX, $14 billion from NASA, $5.3 billion from the Defense Department. I mean, come on. Over the past 16 years, Musk's business deals with the government total nearly $20 billion, according to federal contracting data. So, what's this, Playboy? What's this, Playboy? Sounds like welfare to me. Sounds like government handouts to me. Huh, weird. Over the past 16 years, he's gotten 20 billion in government welfare. Every Republican voted for that bank bailout, by the way. When people were like, who bailed out the banks? Republicans also bailed out the banks. He can't answer this, though. He can't answer. The person that had been trolling this whole time, the right-winger, he can't answer this. What do you call endless handouts to a billionaire for his billion-dollar companies? This is literally corporate welfare. So who are you calling a person getting handouts, huh? And honestly, this kind of goes back to the conversation, you guys, we were having at the beginning of this stream, where I said that conservatives are not populists and that you shouldn't get bamboozled into thinking that they are. This is kind of how the conversation started, so I think it's a good place to end it. This is something that you guys need to be very aware of, where going back to the beginning of the stream, what I said was conservatives are not populists. Populists do not bootlick for the 1% and for corporations. They want to take on corporations in the 1%. And what do you see here? Republicans and billionaire oligarchs like Elon Musk love them some corporate welfare. But what do you see from people who are right-wing? Do you see him talking and calling out these welfare bums, these corporate welfare bums? Do you see that? No, you don't. You see them talking about welfare handouts to regular people. That is the difference between actual populists and right-wing populists. If you were really a populist, you would be fighting for the rights of working class people, poor people, regular people, and you would be not afraid to take on the billionaire class and the corporatists and the oligarchs and the elites that run this country. But if you'll ever notice too, and keep this in mind, whenever right-wingers talk about elites, they're always vague. They're always vague. They always will just have like an amorphous elite that is always very vague because they don't actually want to call out the powers that be. They don't actually oppose Elon Musk getting corporate welfare. They don't oppose billionaire plutocrats like Peter Thiel getting tons of money from the military-industrial complex for Palantir. They don't oppose that. They don't oppose the oligarchy. They don't oppose the military-industrial complex. They don't oppose big pharma. And when you hear people like that guy in chat talking about how, people are getting handouts while he defends plutocrats like Elon Musk who get billions of dollars in corporate welfare, it reveals once again that they're not populist on the right. They hate poor people. They don't like working class people. They don't care about them. They are at the root of it capitalists who worship the plutocracy and worship the corporatocracy. They want to be a part of it. They don't want to challenge it. They want to be a part of it. So understand that. No, that's not true, Kai. I said it was going to be the last thing I said to him specifically. I didn't say I was going to stop talking about the subject. I said I was going to stop responding to that person directly, to be clear. But in any event, I'm shutting up. I'm done. I'm done my rant. I just think that these things are important to know because there are a lot of people out there that are trying to make a lot of money off people by pretending to be populists. So I think it's important that people understand that. Thank you, Blanca. It's kind of my thing. I don't mean to. It just ends up happening because I get very exercised over this kind of stuff. This true. Both parties are owned by Zionists. True. Correct. Both parties are owned by Zionists. Republicans and Democrats' main job is to protect the 1% and divide the American people so that they keep fighting each other instead of the billionaires. Correct. Correct. This is correct. Anyway, great stream, everyone. I think I'm going to be wrapping it up. I'll probably go live again on Thursday. So, yeah, keep the comments coming. Join the Discord if you're not already in the Discord, if you want to suggest guests or really suggest anything else or just be a part of the community. Thank you again so much to everybody who gave super chats. Thank you to everybody who became a member. You can become a member on YouTube, or you can become a member on Ko-Fi, or you can become a member on my Patreon to support my work, or you can donate to my Venmo or Cash App. Up to you, however you want to support me. I thank you for your support. Or if you just, don't have the financial means to still subscribe to all my channels, including YouTube, and hit the bell for notifications. I love you all. We're still trying to, work out the schedule and things like that. But yes, thank you everybody who donated super chats and also commented and just were here. And yeah, so again, subscribe to all my channels. I love you all. We probably are going to go live on Thursday. I will put out the stream a couple hours before. Later, gladiators. I like that. I love you all. Free Palestine, and I will see you on Thursday. Bye, everyone.